some of them chose their grandmother. And so it was really cool to see some of these young people interact with their grandparent and talking about things that they usually don't talk about with them, like asking, how was it growing up in West Papua? Like, did you experience these things, like racism and all those things? And finding out things that they've never, found out about these elders. Because usually they'll just gather together in a community setting. We'll just eat and eat.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Maria Birch-Morunga and I am the host of Colourbox Studio Creative Conversations. Very happy to be here. As a manuhiri, as a visitor on these lands, it's really important for me to acknowledge that the Arts Centre Melbourne sits on a site that has been a gathering place for song, storytelling and community for First Nations people for millennia. On behalf of Colourbox Studio, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands, the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to the Kaumatua, the elders, past and present. This land always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Hi, I'm Maria. I am your host for this evening. I feel so honoured to be here. I am from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I'm really grateful to call Naarm home now. I am a visual artist, a facilitator, obviously, and one of the co-hosts of Being Biracial podcast. As an artist, I have had the pleasure of being interviewed by Colourbox Studio for their online artist interview series. Colourbox Studio was founded by Amie Batalibasi. Say hello, Amie. There she is. Colourbox Studio was created with the aim to amplify diverse voices of creatives, storytellers and filmmakers. I'm so grateful that I have been hosting these events over the last couple of months. It's really bittersweet because tonight is the last one, but you're in for a ripper. We have some really awesome guests. We are about to see the trailer of Kal Angam-Kal, Stories from West Papua, and it will give you a little bit of context for the conversation that we're about to have.
When I come to Australia, I was William's age.
16,
so yeah.
It makes me feel like I'm lucky that I was born in a country like this where I don't have to worry as much as how Mum did when she was younger or even my age. Because if I were in Mum's situation where I had to leave my parents or family at 16 and go with random people I've never met before and go through a boat for 4 days and 3 nights through like that many waves, I probably wouldn't be able to do that, really. It must have been, it definitely would have been hard because like the weather's just terrible there, and I probably wouldn't be strong enough mentally to do that. Yeah.
I agree with you because like you have to be mentally and physically strong to do that, because when you don't have those, even though you have a faith, but when you don't have a strong mentally and strong physically to do that, sometimes it affects you in the long run. So yeah, like trauma.
Cyndi Makabory is a West Papuan activist from the tribes of Waurapin and Biak. Cyndi is also a law graduate and was recently admitted to the Victorian Supreme Court as an Australian lawyer, which is very cool. Yasbelle Kerkow is an Australian-born Fijian artist and emerging documentary filmmaker. Her practice centres intergenerational conversations and communicating Melanesian stories through the arts. She is currently undertaking the Atlantic Fellows for Social Equity program as well, which is very exciting. Now, together, Cyndi and Yasbelle are producers of Kal Angam-Kal, Stories from West Papua, a documentary exhibition bringing together elders and young people from Naarm-based West Papuan communities and a series of youth-led intergenerational interviews. The exhibition opened at Footscray Community Arts in November 2023. Can we welcome Cyndi and Yasbelle to the stage? It is a really giant step, yeah.
For a tiny Melanesian woman, yeah.
We were saying when I walked in, when Cyndi walked in, I was like, "You're so tiny." And then my response to her tiny Melanesian woman is that I'm a big Māori woman. Yeah.
Diversity.
Yeah. In the Pacific. Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask a few questions of you guys individually before we talk about your project together. So, Cyndi, since you're sitting next to me, congratulations on being admitted as a lawyer.
Thank you.
It's a big deal. What motivated you to want to be a lawyer?
Good question. I've been just passionate about human rights and social justice, and I guess being a West Papuan myself, it's just, been embedded in me about social justice issues. And then my mum, who I think I don't know whether she's running Island Time late or she's lost. But yeah, shout out to my mum. She's an incredible woman, and because of her work, she's constantly taking me to meetings, to big events regarding West Papua since I could walk, really. And she's now a political leader in exile, and because of her work I'm living in association because of her work, and we're kind of living in exile in so-called Australian Naarm. So because of my mum. Gorgeous.
I love that so much. Now I'm going to ask you both the same question. What inspires you both to create things? Is it your mum again? I wouldn't blame you.
50-50.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, I don't really know how else to be, but I think particularly stepping into working in, creating visual art was more about my own healing journey, and it kind of turned into something else along the way. And, that's been being involved in projects like Kal Angam-Kal. I also do some work in the Vengia project, which is a collective about Fijian women's skin marking. So it started as my own healing journey, and then it's turned into something else, a few years later down the track. But it's so funny that you say inspired to create, because I was just thinking I mostly just write emails. I don't really do most of my art practice is just writing. I mostly just wrote emails for doing Kal Angam-Kal, but I'm dobbing myself in maybe by saying that. But that's me. Cyndi,
honestly, so much admin behind creating.
Important admin work.
Yes. But much more than you'd think, unfortunately for us. Now, I want to ask you, Yasbelle, and this is the last question I'm going to ask you guys individually before we jump into talking about the project. But you are currently doing the Atlantic Fellows for Social Equity program. So what is that, and how's it going?
Yeah, it's a very long title for something that's very simple. It's through the Atlantic Institute, but it's run through Melbourne Uni. So I'm a student at Melbourne Uni, and it's an Indigenous-led social change program. It's based on Indigenous cultures from the region, so Pacific, Maori and Aboriginal focused. But, anyone can... it's open to anyone to apply. Yeah, it's been an amazing year, and it's also been an opportunity for me to sort of dive more into the Vengia project work that I've been doing. So, been spending this year just taking more of a deep dive and research into Fijian women's skin marking resurgence. So, yeah.
It sounds like a bit of admin.
Yeah, it's a lot of emails again, yeah.
Now, I'm really interested to know, I'm a part of a kind of creative partnership myself in creating the podcast that I make. I always love to know how people meet and start collaborating. So can you tell us the story of that?
Yeah, so actually in the project, there's 3 of us. There's the
secret third person.
We've got a sis. Her name is Folole Tupuola, a Samoan sis. And she's been a big member of our group. And we all met when we did Pacific Climate Warriors. So a youth-led organisation that focuses on climate justice and climate change in the Pacific. And actually shout out to Lyle. Lyle's currently the current team lead of Pacific Climate Warriors. So that's how we all met, and through activism.
So more in the climate space. And missing Florence tonight, but I do love it when she's not here, because then we just basically say really lovely things about her, and which she would never. She's very humble. So we wouldn't be able to do this project without her,
Yeah. Like each of us bring, something different. So it was really important to have her on board in the project. And she did a really great workshop with the kids. So
tell us about the workshop.
Would you like to?
Yeah. Well, maybe we could just chat about Kal Angam-Kal.
Oh, yeah.
So, as you said in your introduction, it's a storytelling project led by West Papuan young people here in Naarm, and it's an intergenerational conversation with the elders. And it all started back in 2021 when I was writing solo with my Samsung 8 phone, which I still do have, and proudly so. I heard Amie also has one, so it just validated me. Anyway, so I was going around Elders' House with these young people to commemorate the 60 years anniversary of the first raising of the Morning Star flag. It is a banned flag now throughout Indonesia and West Papua, and same like with the Palestinian movement, how the flag is a symbol of our liberation and our freedom from colonizers and occupation. And yes, that 2021, 60 years ago, it was actually a symbol of our independence from the Dutch colonization. So West Papua was able to raise that flag for the first time, sing our national anthem. And unfortunately, the following year, we were blindsided. It was great to have these kids talking to the elders, asking the elders how meaningful it was, and if they could remember to celebrate the 60 Morning Star flag, the first raising of the Morning Star flag, and what it means to them. And what better people to ask the elders than our young people, with Yas can also speak more about this with Melanesian or Pacific Islanders in general. We are oral storytellers, everything's passed down through generations. So, it was important for us to just document these stories.
And so were you just putting your Samsung in their face being like, voice message back? Chat into it.
The kids were like, when are we getting our footages? And I'm like, listen, I don't know.
They are really sweet. Like now that we're on the other side of like producing the exhibition, it's really sweet to watch them back. And some of the kids were just 12. That was in 2021, and they would have been 12. And then when they participated in Kal Angam-Kal, the filming, they were 14, 16 and one 17-year-old, so all teenagers. But like even when I was watching that, we had met doing climate advocacy work, and then I got to learn more about, the West. And I think when I met Cyndi, I thought that I was someone who knew so much about what was happening in the region. And then actually when I met Cyndi, I realised how much I didn't know and how much I needed to make sure my solidarity and my allyship was supporting Cyndi and her community struggle in the activism work that I was doing. And watching the kids interview the elders back when they were 12, they were so shy. And it was really obvious that they really needed to some more support with media training and stuff, and so that led to the workshop program. And we were very lucky. I think we had like a celebrity media trainer,
Namila Benson. Putting it out there.
I know. I'm surprised she said yes. And then me and Cyndi were like in the front row just like taking notes. So that was a really exciting opportunity. And then Florence Folole, who's not here with us, the other producer in the program, she did the program design for all of the workshops with the young people, and she made it so interactive and the content like really suitable for those audiences. And it really helps them with having the confidence to take on these stories. And also we partnered with the youth service, Yarra Youth Services, and I think partnering with them just also helped with, the really big stories that these young people are taking on. So having the extra support from a youth service that has all these services that can support them. And some of the young people had never been to the youth service before, so just linking them in with that as well. There was a lot of sort of like moving parts to the project. But we're really fortunate to have an incredible team and direction from Cyndi. And pretty much all the young people were like, what was it that we were dropping some of the young people home and we were asking them what they thought of the workshop, and Nonna was like, Diana, one of the young people, was like, it was better than what I thought it was going to be. But it was all like, you know, the young people really look up to Cyndi, you know, so.
Oh, well, they have to, like.
I was going to say, or do they look down? Are they taller than you?
I was like, vertically challenged. Yeah.
I feel like you know, while watching it, because I've had the privilege to watch it, and it's so beautiful, guys. Like, very well done. I loved it so much. I wrote in my notes, I was looking at them yesterday when I was whipping up the questions. Intergenerational oral history caught on camera. Like, it feels like you're just sitting in the room with them as they make food and chat to each other, have a cuppa and chat to each other. It felt really special to witness the transmission of knowledge, and it felt very familiar to me as well, like as a Māori person. But how did you guys pick the medium of film to tell these stories?
Yeah, I mean, we were inspired by the Guam-based crew called the Nihik Kids. If you go on Instagram, please check them out, follow. They're amazing. They also did a similar project where they had, you know, elders talking to young people, and they had an episode on West Papua, and they had a West Papuan elder who was living in the States talking about racism and growing up in West Papua and experiencing all those things. And, you know, instead of having West Papuan kids asking, it was these Guam-based, you know, young people asking these questions because they don't know about West Papua. So I was like, that's a really cool way to keep the stories documented and passed down and in high definition as well. I feel like our people deserve that. And yeah, just having our stories being told by us, for us, and, you know, us taking control of the narrative and also lead, in spaces like arts and filmmaking,
I feel like it flows really nicely on from what Asil was saying about allowing people the space to tell their own stories, because that's when you really get to the essence of the stories, and instead of, you know, the stereotypes or the kind of leading people into what they want them to say. Like, I think it's a nice little through line between the two interviews tonight.
Yeah, a lot of Asil's, like, I resonate so much with Asil, everything that she was saying about community and, you know, speaking their language and telling her kids to speak their language, because I could feel that with my mother as well. She was like, I'm going to send you back home if you don't. But yeah, it's, you know, I resonate with everything that Asil was saying.
I'm wondering, were there any barriers to getting people comfortable on screen? Because I can imagine that the elders as well might have felt a bit nervous.
I feel like definitely the workshop program opened up the young people really slowly to be able to feel comfortable to actually hold those conversations. And, you know, the young people had the opportunity to craft the questions, pick the elder that they wanted to interview. And some of the young people chose to interview their parents, which we didn't think that they were going to choose, which I thought, like, I would be so scared to interview my mum. I thought it was more scary. But they really wanted to interview their parents. And, I think it's a testament to, like, your community, Cyndi. Like, they really know their struggle, you know. So actually I feel like, you know, when we created the space, the young people stepped up to take on that leadership role. And I think with the elders, like, I feel like I was surprised because, like, you know, because we had like a whole camera crew and we had a lighting team and stuff, because
it was professional.
Yeah, it was very and it was sort of like me a little bit, like I really wanted to make sure, like, like, it's me being a bit nitpicky and pedantic, but I think, you know, when as Melanesian, like, storytellers, you know, like, there's a long history of ethnographic and documentary filmmaking that's been used, you know, against us. And so making this work, it was really important for me to make sure we were represented, like, really beautifully and, like, really strong in our identity, and, you know, our melanin was popping and, like, you know, all of those things were really important to me. But I was really surprised. I felt like some of the elders, like, came to life, like, in front of...
Some of them were even, like, low-key directing, and I was like, I thought I'm the director on set. I don't know what's going on. What is going on?
Because I think it was, like, a new experience for them. We also had we had a few, like, maybe several community meetings to prepare everyone. Like, we particularly before the filming, and even though I think that I explained everything really comprehensively, like even on the day, people would be like, "Oh, I didn't think it was going to be like this," But like we really, like we have to show up, show up before we arrive, that whole thing. Like, to make sure our community is represented. And when I say community, I'm talking about Melanesian people more broadly. But like, make sure everyone was represented really well. I was really surprised because also, like it just so happened that the young people, most of them chose, like the elders were majority women who have been interviewed, and a lot of them hadn't had the opportunity to sort of share their story before. So in that kind of way, so I think that sort of maybe it was an opportunity for them as well. Yeah.
You gave them the space.
Yeah.
And they told their own story.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Were you directing, Cyndi?
Yeah. I mean, there was not a lot to do because all they did was just sit across each other.
It needs to be here.
No, it was really cool to just be in the director's sort of seat, although I wasn't seating, I think I was standing most of the time. But it was really cool to see how, because some of them chose their grandmother, and so it was really cool to see some of these young people interact with their grandparent and talking about things that they usually don't talk about with them, like asking, how was it growing up in West Papua? Like, did you experience these things, like racism and all those things, and finding out things that they've never, found out about these people, these elders, because usually they'll just gather together in a community setting, we'll just eat, and then, you just, they don't really, sit down properly. And I think also there's a thing about, I don't know, Pacific Islanders or Melanesian, how with elders you respect them to a point where you don't ask personal questions, about how they grew up and things like that. So it was really nice to just see the kids try, open up with these elders and have them comfortable to talk to each other, and with two-way cameras just in their faces. It was
just such a natural environment.
Yeah, totally.
You made it feel very natural though. Like honestly, I felt like a fly on the wall as I was watching it. I was like, I'm in the room. Can I have some of that food? No. Okay. I think that it was done really beautifully, and like you said, Yasbelle, the melanin was popping.
Thank you.
The melanin was popping. Great job on making that happen.
We had a great team.
Those community workshops, did they, I feel like this leads into my next question, because these stories are really precious. And were those community workshops a part of how you took care of everyone, and how you made sure that they felt safe as they were telling these stories?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the first time something like that ever happens. Giving them the tools and resources, but also making sure that, these stories are their intellectual property. Like Indigenous intellectual property.
The lawyer.
Thank you. It's coming out.
Thank you, lawyer.
So it was very important for us to let them know that these are your stories. You take autonomy and you take lead on these stories, and you just tell us how you want us to work around you know, in your stories, and how to care for them. Because, these are documented, stories, and they are literally walking histories. So that's what, we're trying to make them feel as comfortable and safe, and for them to ask questions and, have a conversation. Yeah.
Well done. Well done for that, because that's not easy, and also a lot of people don't take that extra care. I think even bringing the youth services on board as well, like what a beautiful touch, like of just kaitiakitanga taking care of someone. Like it's so gorgeous, and I really respect those kind of Indigenous practices in your work. Did you guys bring that to the project in another way?
Well, I definitely think, the intergenerational nature of this project is an Indigenous methodology, and working in film was just an extension of that, really. And, this was the first time we've ever done something like this. So, it was a really big learning journey for us as well. I think also, between me, Florence and Cyndi, we work really collectively together, and I think that's also an Indigenous, method as well. There there's just lots of sort of like philosophies. Well, even, you know, the name Kal Angam-Kal is you know, I would call it a philosophy. You can explain a little bit about the meaning.
Yeah, the thought and process about that goes through the project is amazing. I mean, starting from the title itself, it derives from Amome tribe, so a tribe in West Papua, where it pretty much means the word has been spoken out. So yeah, it was a collective sort of, we had a community meeting and we asked, what would you like the project to be called? Or what would you like this storytelling, you know, exhibition to be called? And so we had the community chairman and my mum pretty much just brainstorming. And then, and then it came to a fruit, like Kal Angam-Kal was the name. And it was great because the chairman's daughter was in the exhibition itself. So I think, you know, we would love to see that she felt represented as well and her tribe is represented, yeah.
I feel like even in the way that you discuss the project is a very collective way of framing things. You're giving credit to the people that, you know, helped and that were part of it, and stepping through all of the things. I think it's a beautiful way to make work as a conversation, as opposed to just, you know, we're doing this and this is what's happening.
Which is what's been happening in the community. So, you know, we would like them to take control and autonomy over their stories.
I love how you guys met through your advocacy work, and this is like an advocacy project. Do you have a creative practice outside of this advocacy stuff, or is this the most important part of your creative practice?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I grew up in activism, but I feel like art and activism is, you know, intimately linked. I mean, as West Papuan or Melanesians, you know, arts is our culture, is our heritage. With West Papuans, you know, we use music as our tool to spread message about our struggle and our people's, you know, the land being occupied, and, you know, great bands like the Black Brothers and the Mambasak band. You know, these are two bands that spoke about the political and social issues of, you know, our people and our land. And so, that in itself is art and activism in one. And we use the music as well in our project, and we use Soundscape from David Bridie. And it all just worked well. But art and activism is interlinked. Yeah, absolutely.
And for you, Yasbelle?
Yeah, well, I guess I had more of a creative producing background, but I think really, like, I think I can say I've always felt like Cyndi works with philosophies and methodologies that are very creative. But what maybe is the difference is that, you know, like what I brought to the project was maybe like having some ins and connections to, getting it funded or, you know, all of that kind of stuff, which is actually usually quite inaccessible. You know, that sort of stuff let the project sort of grow. But I think, you know, as I was saying before, like I have lots of different, like another big part of my world is working on the Vengia stuff, and also working in my own kind of arts practice as well. But I think at the moment Kal Angam-Kal has kind of got my heart, and, you know, we still have like this group chat with all the young people and they send us little updates and stuff. And so it's like easy to get so lost in a project like this because the young people are so like wonderful and really want to be involved, you know? Yeah.
You've just made a community out of it. Which is gorgeous.
I totally want to commend Yas for coming into another community and, you know, just putting her hand up and say, hey, I have resources and tools to make this into a bigger thing. So, really just want to thank her for dealing with us and keeping up with my community.
I know, and then now I'm doing Vengia work, so now I'm like working with my community, and now I'm like you know. But yeah,
We're all part of the Pacific.
yeah, we're all Melanesians. Yeah. But like, I guess Cyndi had a real community-facing role, and I had maybe more of an industry-facing role, and I definitely wouldn't want to swap. Like, Cyndi's role was really hard, you know. Like, there was a lot of
I mean, something happened was that I think the young person was nervous the day before filming. And so I had a phone call at like midnight from the mum saying, are we able to postpone it? And I was like, I don't think so. But like, let me know how she feels the next morning. If there's anything that we can do to support, because all these freelance, like the guys.
The people are booked.
Yeah. The people are booked. The cameras are booked. So.
We can do this. You've done this before. It's all good, girl.
I just remember that day, and she was so nervous. And then by the end of the day, she was like rapping in front of the camera and stuff.
She was taking the slate and was just like, cut. And I was like, so you're well.
Yeah, she came out of her shell.
Yeah.
But she did a remarkable job. She was also the first one, and she's also the youngest, so she was in a hard.
Yeah, she did amazing.
Yeah.
Outside of the documentary piece, because it was at Footscray Community Arts here, which we all love Footscray Community Arts. But outside of the filmmaking piece, what else was part of the exhibition?
I think our main focus was just the stories.
Yeah.
But then we had like little photographs because the parents that were interviewed, they were actually the 43 West Papuans that came by boat in 2006. So we had, photographs of them, of their arrival, and I think it was...
a big archival fact-finding mission of all the newsreels.
That's another story.
So, yeah, there was archival material in there. Gosh, it's all coming back to me now. But, do you want to share a little bit more about the 43?
Yeah, so, I mean, if, those who probably remember or don't remember, back in 2006, there was the whole commotion about boat people, and it was under the Howard government, and the 43 West Papuans somehow managed to get in with their traditional canoe to Australia, and they ended up in Weipa undetected. And they managed to receive their protection visa by the Howard government, which was really weird and unheard of. I think it's because, for us, I think it's because they just want to, cover the issue straight away and not make a big commotion about it. So, the easiest way is to just grant these 43 West Papuans protection visa, and then that's it. But I think it ruffled Indonesia's feather a bit because they took the embassy out of Australia from all over the state, and they were like, listen, we're not happy. And then it result in the treaty between Indonesia and Australia called the Lombok Treaty, where it pretty much, said that Australia is not allowed to get involved in Indonesia's internal affair, which in other words, get involved with, talking about West Papua. So I think that's why you don't hear about West Papua, in media and things like that. So yeah, this treaty is just the bane of our lives, to be honest, in Australia. I think there's just been campaign years ago trying to revoke the treaty and have it reviewed, and so that Aussies or ordinary Australians can hear more about what's happening in West Papua, and also have international media and journalists go to the island and report about the situation there, because regionally, we're just right next door, we're your closest neighbours, so and people don't know about it. Yeah.
And there are a few of those elders were from that group of people.
Yeah. The two young people who chose to interview their parents were a part of the 43 West Papuans. So it was really special because, those young people, they inherit those stories, so for them to be the ones that carry on their legacy, Yeah, and I think that the young people, they knew about their parents' journeys, but not in that depth and hearing it in a different way. So yeah, it was a really, I'll never forget those, I cried. Cyndi held it together really well on set, whereas we would stop filming, I'd be just crying.
We don't cry on set. We cry when we're back home.
No one needs to see.
Cindy's a professional. I was like...
Folole had her sunnies on the whole time. She was like, I'm not taking it off.
Yeah. And then, to be able to go into the archives and find the newsreels and find that footage. And, I think it was the first, I don't think they had seen that. Yeah. And I think, Papuana would have been 16 when she was part of the 43.
Which is the age that her son is currently, was at that moment interviewing her. So, I think William asked his mum, like, oh, did you, like, how does it feel when you finally arrived? And then Papuana was asking him about, would you have done the same thing if you were in my shoes? Would you have travelled by boat to another country to spread, awareness about the struggle and your people's plight for independence? And, it was, gosh, the emotions, it was just...
I feel like sometimes having your activism and your art overlap really heavily can be, not draining is the wrong word, but can be quite tiring. So I'm wondering what you do to balance it out. Like, do you rest? Do you have other activities that you do? How do you balance it out? Or do you feel like that fills your cup? Because some people do.
Like, we're very close friends outside of this work, and like the support that we give each other is really special, like, and there were moments where we did fight.
Our friendship was on the line.
But I think that those moments made us like sisters, like we're like proper sisters now. But like, I think the support we give one another really, there's nothing else like it, I think this project for me has been like the standard of what collaboration is. Yeah,
and I can just see it, how you guys interact with each other as well. Like, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. You really remind me of me and Kate. Hi, girl. I didn't know you came. Hello. It's so nice to see you. I wasn't talking about you.
Shout out to Kate.
Shout out to Kate. So I'm wondering, what is the special sauce? I mean, being friends, good thing to be when you're collaborating with somebody, but what else is in the special sauce when you're collaborating with someone that is your friend on something important that you both love?
Oh, I think what Folole did was, like, we have a debrief at the end of our interview, like that filming day. So we'll come together and debrief, and, it's an open and safe space for us to hold each other accountable, but also share what worked and what didn't work. And, that was a new way for me, because usually I just keep things inside and I'm just like, I do not want to say anything. But I
think what's been really special for me is the recognition that I get from Cyndi and Florence. Like, we're always like recognizing each other's achievements and hard work, and like I always feel really seen with them as collaborators. And then also I just think, like what I was saying before about us becoming proper sisters was like the conflict transformation, like turning that into something, a transformative experience.
Makes us stronger.
It was the cocoon.
Yes.
Now, last question. You guys are so funny and delightful. I've got a last question here now. What is next for you both? Is there anything coming up as a team or also individually? What are you guys up to next?
Well, Kal Angam-Kal is touring. We're in talks to take it to Sydney.
Works.
Oh my gosh, and the pipeline, love that you told us that. Anything individually, that what's going on with your project, what's happening with being a lawyer?
Oh, yeah.
You're just doing it?
I was just floating. Just trying to kickstart a law career, I guess. So that's exciting.
Yeah. And I can imagine it takes a lot of effort and energy.
My mom's just like, oh, thank God. Just finally a lawyer.
All your mum's hard work.
Yeah, she was like, I gave birth and now it's finally come to fruition.
And now you are a liar.
Her personal one. She was like, oh, can I get into it? And I'm like, no.
That's a conflict of interest, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if anyone gets arrested, yeah. That's good.
You're just telling her. You're just like, here are her services. This is what she can do for you guys.
Cyndi is being really humble because she's actually really incredible, but Cindy's actually the first West Papuan to be admitted to the Australian bar.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
she's being far too humble.
You sly dog. You're like, oh yeah, I'm just a lawyer. Oh, the first,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
The first, but not the only.
Yes.
Right?
I'm trying to like rally the kids. I'm like, listen, do you wanna?
I've got a career for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very exciting. Yeah.
Gosh, that's amazing, and I love that so much. I actually work with lawyers in my day job, so
I know.
difficult, lemon difficult.
You're an IT. You're an expert in the. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm around them a lot.
Yeah.
Now, Yasbelle, your Fijian skin marking project, tell us a little bit about that before.
Yeah, well, so before I jump into that, but yeah, Kal Angam-Kal, we're hoping to consolidate it into one film. So it'll be in different sort of consumable forms, because I think we wanted to make sure that we got the message out, as far and reaching as possible. So stay tuned. And then, Vengia Project. Gosh, what are we doing in Vengia Project? Lots of things like, but yeah, I think my main thing is I'm also working on a documentary project for that as well. So yeah, stay tuned. Some more archival deep diving and, as you know, more emails. So expect some emails from me.
What a nice
way to
circle
end.
there.
It weaves back all together.
Weaving, topical. Yeah. Everybody put your hands together for Cyndi Makabory and Yasbelle Kerkow. How incredible were they? I'm going to boot you off the stage. This is our last event. I can't believe it's come to an end. I feel so honoured to be the person who's facilitating these conversations. Thank you to Colourbox Studio for letting me hold the mic. This episode was recorded at the channel with the support of Art Centre Melbourne's Play program. I want to thank Tom Dickens, there he is. Thank you to the channel and the team here. Again, give it up for our guests and thank you for coming along.